In today's video, we're going to talk about whether or not you should hire or should I hire a PPC agency. Here's how to hire a PPC agency without getting your literal ass handed to you when you hire one. Given 90% of the agencies you can hire to run your PPC or online advertising or advertising in general are basically no better than a scam. Yes, I said it, but that's the reality. Why am I qualified to say that? Yes, you could say I'm biased because I run also an ad agency myself, but I also am qualified to say this because I see what other agencies do. I have people not desperate for work, got more people contacting me than I can work for, and at our ad agency, we're very choosy over our clients. But what I do get as a process of quite a few people reaching out, showing us what they got and seeing if we can potentially work together, is I get to see what other agencies do for the campaigns they set up all the time, because it's right there. And I can see a lot of times, usually, since they haven't switched agencies yet, who the agency is that put those campaigns together effectively. And so when I say 90% of agencies can't get good results, I'm not just pulling it out of my ass here. This is the reality of the situation. Furthermore, just to give you an idea, I run guaranteed PPC. We're an ad agency that will guarantee you more sales results or leads on your current ad spend before you have to pay us any starting fees at all. And the only agency that I know out there that does that, most of our clients don't hire us until they've hired not one, not two, but at least 3 to 4 different ad agencies. Why? Because they don't want to, we'll just say, they don't want to admit to themselves that it's expensive to get a PPC ad agency to get them results. And if there are ones that get results, they're not going to be charging $500 a month. That is the reality. So they hire one. Usually they start out trying to do it themselves. Then they fail. Then they try to work with the Google rep. Then they fail. Then they try to hire a cheap PPC agency. Then they fail. Then they hire another cheap PPC agency. Then they fail. Then they try to hire an expensive PPC agency or more expensive, and they still fail because that's not the price alone isn't a guarantee. Then they see my advertisement or find one of my videos, and then they see the guarantee, and then it makes sense. Otherwise, if somebody contacts me before they went through that, they're going to say, oh, guarantee, schmarantee. Why the hell do I have to pay this client or this company, this PPC agency, $4,000 a month when I can either do this myself or there's agencies out there that'll do it for $400 a month? You got to find out for yourself the hard way, and I can't explain it away to you up front. There's just some things you have to, touch the stove, if you will, burn your hand before you realize that the pain of having to pay an agency a decent amount of money is required to get what you want. But at the end of the day, it's really dumb because there's no discount PPC agency that ever should be hired. Don't you want the most PPC results you could get? Why do you want just a little bit of results? What people that I don't understand about hiring a PPC agency is they say to themselves, okay, there's one here that charges $400, one that charges $4,000, and they just assume that the results and everything else is the same between them, and that the cheap agency is going to be able to get all the results that they want. It's just like hiring a lawyer. People inherently know the $75 an hour lawyer is not going to be the same results you get with the $750. So why is it that PPC agencies are thought of in a different light? The reality is the reason why the $400 a month agencies don't get you the results is because it's a lot of work to get results with PPC in the first place. You're competing against other people in your market generally, and the person who puts the most sophisticated campaign together is the one who's going to make the ad, the cost of the ads pay for itself. I could tell you up front, 90% of people who try to run like Google ads, for instance, never make any money. They're in, they're out, and that's it, because they don't know how to set up their ads effectively enough. And so when you hire that $400 a month agency, they know with their business model that they can't get you any results with $400 a month. They know that's what you want to hear, though, and that you don't want to spend much until you see it working, so you're not going to spend a lot. But at least if you spend a little bit and it doesn't work, you're not going to be out a lot of money once it fails. So then they play to your, sense your apathy of not wanting to pay a lot and not wanting to lose a lot if it doesn't work. Tell you what you want to hear, take all your money, use most of it to get the next sucker in line, and then do this as their entire business model as an agency. And that's most of the market. We're talking 80% plus of the market is exactly that. Okay? So, and of course not everybody's like that. There's a few people who actually give a damn and try to get results. It's just not easy to get results at a PPC agency because you've got to hire smart people. Somebody who knows how to get good PPC results and understands your market, how to get good results in your market, all that. This is a high IQ individual that's going to be able to outcompete everybody else in your market. Of course, you not only got to know what you're doing and how to learn, but you got to be able to execute and be willing to execute all the work along with it. So you have to be honest and ethical at the same time. So it's not going to get done cheap because it takes a lot of results, and the person that strategizes what you're doing has to be so smart enough just to understand how to put something together for your market that's going to work in your market. Okay? So with all that said, of course, what we really have as a business owner who has to decide how you're going to get results with your ads, you've got 5 different options, all really at the end of the day of what to choose and how to choose it. You can hire a consultant to manage your ads. You can hire an agency to manage your ads, which we're already talking about, and this is the title of the video. You can hire, or you can deal with the Google rep, which sometimes they give you a dedicated team at Google, which that's like going to the prosecutor if you're charged by the government for a crime and having the prosecutor hammer out you the best deal. Why the hell would you do that? Of course, Google needs to be able to make money. So if it's between you not making money, or if it's between you making money and Google making money, what are they going to advise you to do? They're a corporation that's bound by law to have to make the most money for their shareholders possible. They can go to jail for fraud, and you're taking advice from them blindly. Doesn't make any sense. You also can hire an in-house person, a full-time employee in-house, to manage your ads. And of course, the other last option always is nothing. When people don't know what to decide, they usually go with nothing. And then they stick their head in the sand and they assume that nothing's ever going to go wrong to their ads. It's working good enough. But things change. What's working today isn't going to be the same exact thing that works in 3 years from now. And it's just a matter of when it's going to fall apart. So no decision and no management sounds nice at the current time because you don't have to pay anything to get it managed, but it's not going to be a viable long-term strategy. It's not, because shit changes too much. It's not 2007 when a big update happens 2 times a year. Now it's happening every month. So anyway, with those options, what I'm going to also tell you here is, in addition to should you hire a PPC agency, should you hire an agency, or should you do one of these other options? And depending on your situation, this obviously can change. There's no one right option, but for the most part, there's the right option for most people, of which I'm going to tell you on the video here today. So with that said, getting into your options, what you're really dealing with when you're asking yourself, should I hire a PPC agency, and to not have your ass handed to you, so you have to learn the hard way, like I said, that most of our clients that come to us that hire us have to do over and over again, to realize that it's not going to be cheap. You can't hire some bozo off the street to do it if you plan on getting any kind of results and ads that pay for themselves, because just sales by itself doesn't work. You got to get a certain minimum level of ROI to sustain it and scale it. The money in running online ads is in the scaling part, which a lot of people don't think about that. They just want a good enough campaign. Well, that costs so much to put the good enough campaign together that you're not going to justify it unless you're going to also scale. You got to know your numbers. You got to know what amount of sales you need to justify the starting ad spend, so you can scale and have the right systems in place to kind of determine when you hit that number. That's how the real fortunes in making ads work work, because you can pay a lot of money to get the starting ad spend to work, knowing that the ROI isn't there, but knowing if you have the system set up, now you can scale it, and that's where all the millions come in. And the money you spent to get it up and going, that's nothing in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, starting with consultants. You can hire an outside independent consultant, a PPC consultant, to help you get good results in your ads. Now, the main drawbacks with doing that is one, there's no real bandwidth that they have. If you're hiring somebody who really knows what they're doing in terms of ad results, they're not going to be paying or charging $50 an hour, and if you do, you're pissing your money away. They're going to be charging at least $100 an hour, if not $200-300 an hour, with anyone with even halfway level of competence that can advise you how to put a multi-million-dollar ad strategy together for your business. So with that said, you're paying someone $200 an hour to advise you, which is on the low end. The best people are charging $2,000 an hour because they're literal money machines. And they're obviously everybody wants an ad consultant that knows how to make money. So you're paying them this $200, $300, $400, $500 an hour to get you results. Well, part of getting results is doing the physical work. And so a consultant isn't even about doing the work, but even if they were, they're going to be doing all this grunt work. A lot of it's just literal grunt work to put things into motion. And you're not going to want to pay someone $200 an hour to do grunt work. So it's very inefficient, them in and themselves. They're not efficient in what they're doing because paying them to do the more simple tasks of the part of the execution of putting together campaigns and templates and stuff like that for your campaigns that will work. You don't want to pay them to do that necessarily. And if you do, the bill's going to be astronomically high. They can't actually do very much for you because they still only have 40 hours a week. So, your bandwidth from one person isn't very good. You can't roll stuff out quickly. And they're limited in their skills. So they may know about ad strategy, but they don't know how to use Adobe Photoshop to physically design the landing pages you need, or programming to do tracking setups, of course. So, which is why, even also going into the in-house person, you don't want to have just one person. What you really need to get great results is a team of people, because like what I was just trying to convey before is there's certain people with certain skills that you're not going to have as one person. You're not going to be a graphics designer and a programmer and an ad copywriter and an ad buying strategist all in one, effectively. You could get close, but they're not going to have everything. The best scenario is somebody who knows the high level, what components are needed, and they can work with individual consultants. So in other words, that smart person will direct the other individual specialist to get you the end result that you want, because that individual specialist, no matter how well-rounded they are, they're not going to be as good as a team of specialists. Okay? It's just like if you were a general contractor building a house. That general contractor is not going to be as good as the guy who just does floors all day long, and then that general contractor, runs that subcontractor team for you to get you the end result. This is the same way with the amount, because people oversimplify running ads. It takes good landing pages, good ads. You got to understand how to make a website convert, the rest of the website, in addition to the landing pages. You got to know about tracking. You got to know about how to do heavy attribution sales tracking, offline conversion tracking, good remarketing, making banner ads, making video ads, all these different individual little things if you really want to clean up and do well with running online ads for your business. It's also similar to how like a doctor's office operates in terms of how things should be set up. The doctor is not going to do everything, because that would be astronomically expensive, but even then they still have their own radiologist or whatever to do the individual components, because they're not going to be good at everything even if you wanted them to be. That's not how to get proper results with this either. So consultant is limited in terms of, has a lot of drawbacks. A consultant can come in and be good at fixing and answering specific questions, but not running your whole program. You obviously have the PPC agency route here, which is obviously what the video is mainly about. The main drawback with the agency is that people complain about all the time, that I hear all the time from different prospects that I deal with at our ad agency, is they don't understand your business. Why? Because you're dealing with, I know this is not going to be politically correct, but you're dealing with low IQ people. The trait about high IQ gets you is it gives you speed. You can learn things quickly. The higher the IQ you have, the quicker you can learn. You're dealing with somebody with average IQ, they're not going to be able to learn your entire industry, the nuances to it, your nuances, the difference between one product and another, how that correlates with what the consumer wants. It's a lot of shit to digest, even over long periods of time. And if you're not dealing with somebody with like 100, we'll say 15 plus IQ, they're not going to get it well. And so what people tell me all the time is they'll say, well, they knew a lot about ads, that other agency knew a lot about ads, but they just didn't understand our business. And that's, the biggest problem. So, and that's just simply, my opinion is because the people you're getting at these other ad agencies, particularly because they're charging not much money, or especially the ones not charging a lot of money, but even if they're charging a little bit more, they don't have the money to hire the smart person, because the smart person doesn't have, they can work in any industry, PPC, whatever, and so they're not going to be selling their man hours to help you run a campaign for a cheap cost. They can work as a doctor, lawyer, whatever. So, and if they don't know your business, they ain't getting you very good results. So I didn't think I had to say that, but I'll make it obvious. Okay, so there's the agencies, the drawbacks with that. Now you got the Google reps. Okay, Google rep, very biased. Not that they're evil, not saying Google don't attack me, but at the end of the day, you're a corporation with corporate bylaws and corporate law saying you have to get a return for your shareholders, and you can't prioritize your customers over your shareholders. And if your shareholders are going to make more money by screwing over a customer, assuming the customer don't know it, well, I don't have any room to go any other way. Google wants you to spend more money on ads. This is obvious. This is clear in their decisions to hire reps to push for that. So how are you going to know the information you're getting really is to your benefit or their benefit? And the answer is you don't. In addition to that, there's no time to do anything. Just similar to the consultant situation, they could tell you all day long, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And if there's not somebody there to do it, most stuff isn't going to take 15 minutes to do. Well, then you're not going to get the results anyway. The information is worthless without the execution. So what they do is they give you information that are quick fixes, like click here, it looks good, it'll raise your ad spend, it might get you more sales, but that's like the bare minimum stuff you should be doing. And it's 10% or less of the results you could be getting if you had clear information, non-biased information, and then a team to help you execute on it. So anyway, Google Reps, plenty of weaknesses there. Obviously the pros are it's free, but if it's free, you're the product, baby. It's coming out of your wallet. Google would be paying Google Reps to call you up and work with you if they weren't monetizing that somehow. And it isn't just encourage you to stick around, because they do not have a shortage of people who want their ad space. Fourth way you could go ahead to get around a PPC agency, you could have an in-house person that you hire. It's full-time. Obvious main drawback here that I don't have written up here is it's expensive. Most of you guys, unless you're doing at least $10 million a year in sales, having an in-house dedicated PPC person isn't going to cut it, or it's too expensive as per the value they're generating. And if you try to say, well, I can have them do PPC and SEO, well, then they're no longer a PPC specialist. And I could tell you firsthand, nobody has a chance against me doing just PPC all day long when they have to do PPC and SEO and social media. They just don't. And I see these generalist firms, how much they suck compared to PPC agencies. So it's so complex and changing so fast nowadays. And if you don't specialize in PPC, you're not going to be very effective. Okay? In-house person. It's hard to hire the person from just from the standpoint that you're going to hire them like a salesperson. You're going to have to wait 6 months to even find out anything. And then if you have to fire them, you have to pay unemployment and all this stuff. And there's no trial basis, anything. Of course, if you work with an agency, you still have to give them 6 months as well, but it's, generally speaking, it's less, overall still, it's less of a risk than hiring that full-time person and hoping they, follow through. Especially when you consider like the unemployment and all that stuff. And then the other drawback with the in-house person is there's no outside perspective. Okay? If all they're doing is working on your campaigns, they're not understanding the new stuff that comes through, how it's going to impact your business or not. Everything you do that's new is going to be total, let's try it and see. If you hire an agency, on the other hand, they've tried whatever you're going to try several times already before you and basically know how well it's going to work and the best practices to getting the most out of it. A good example of that is PMAX. If you're like anybody else who tries PMAX and you set it up the way that they want you to with all the headlines and descriptions and everything in there, you're going to show up all over the display network and you're going to waste 90% of your money spent on it. But if you worked with our agency, knowing that's how it works, and to do a feed-only setup instead, which gets you 90+% on the shopping spots on Google search, which what you want with it, you wouldn't waste all your time. You wouldn't have to waste money figuring it out. So you don't have enough money to go ahead and try everything, and through a process of elimination, try 50 things to find 5 things that works. You're going to waste so much money doing that. Effectively, it's just not, there's no scenario where that works. If you want to use an in-house person, fine, but you use them in conjunction with the agency still, so that the in-house person gives you, works to the benefit of the company, but also works with the agencies to get the information about what works and what doesn't work, so you aren't randomly trying stuff. And I know that sounds expensive, but if you're going to work with an in-house person, you've got to have it with an agency, or if you can't afford both, you just do the agency. You just got to find the right agency, because they are out there. Their entire purpose as a PPC agency is to try everything, find out what works and what scenarios, so that when you hire them, they're already just doing the stuff that works. Then the final, of course, option you have, if you're asking yourself if you should I hire a PPC agency, is to do nothing, sticking your head in the sand. And the problem with that, like I already stated before, is shit's always changing. Who's going to manage it? It's only good for maintaining, and at that, it's still really bad. Because, just to give you one simple little example here, yeah, you say you don't want to pay someone $4,000 a month. You know if you don't pay somebody $4,000 to help you manage the ads, even though you spend $5,000 a month on ad spend, well, guess what? Your tracking that all the ads are driven off of is going to break one day, and you're not going to realize why your sales are down until 4 weeks later, and that the tracking's broken, and now it takes you 2 weeks to react to get the tracking back up. Now you've lost $50,000 trying to save that $4,000 a month. And reality is, I think I basically made my point there. But so in general, you just got to assume there's a certain minimum amount of money that it's going to take to play the game. If you don't have the money to play the game, you don't play it. There's no time where I can legitimately say, unless you know how to run ads really well yourself, that just letting that account run with no monitoring, nobody checking the tracking on a monthly basis to make sure it keeps working, nobody to keep ads that are going to inevitably get disapproved to get those back going again, nobody to check the remarketing audiences that can be flaky, turn off at a moment's notice, whatever, and on, and have that be to your benefit long term. Yes, short term you might get away with 3 to 6 months of no management of those ads, and nothing falls apart, and then you just got lucky. Eventually your luck's going to run out, shit's going to hit the fan with your account, and then you got to ask yourself, can you take a 50% haircut in sales because your ads are not working for a month because you weren't paying attention to shit, and a little problem that came up that would have been not a problem if somebody was actually watching it, that knew what the hell they were doing, versus just assume nothing happens and then you wait for it to happen, then you react after it happens, and then that's going to take you a while to deal with. So just take it from me. Things are changing too quickly nowadays to not have anybody watch your ads. Just get somebody who can provide enough ROI and value from your ads that you could still afford to pay someone several $1,000s a month just to maintain it, and it's not a problem for you anymore. That's really what you should be thinking. Not, oh, I hate paying them the $3,000 a month. They aren't doing shit. They're just maintaining our sales, which really they should be getting you more sales. But even if they were just maintaining it, you got to think about it as a cost of doing business, because, or should I say, it's insurance on your results, if nothing else. So anyway, those are your 5 options, all with their different benefits and drawbacks. For agencies specifically, if you're going to hire the PPC agency, or ask, should I hire a PPC agency? Just know the main things that make PPC agencies not work, and why 90% of them don't work, is because the account managers suck. You're getting, or should I say, account managers in general suck. How would you get results going to the doctor's office, and instead of talking to the doctor, you talk to the nurse, and you could not talk to the doctor? Everything you had to say to the doctor had to be filtered through the nurse. You'd be pissed, right? Well, why the hell does the PPC agency space work that way? It's really, really dumb. The reason why they do that is because they want, if you get shitty results, that agency, the person you're dealing with can just say, I don't know, pass it on to the person. You can't go after them directly. Versus if the person doing the strategy, was talking to you, then you could grill them. Not so much, but that is an element for sure why they structure it that way and why the industry is that way in the first place. Usually it's a nice girl that you can't yell at, so they can put you in check. But in general, they And the person that does the strategy usually isn't a people person, so they fix that issue, and that's the main reason why they do it. But in order to get good results, you got to be able to bounce ideas back and forth with the strategist, actually working on the ads to get proper results, because there's shit that goes on. You need to get. I couldn't get results without dealing with the client directly. I listen to how their customers are, what's important to them, what's not important to them, using that information to feed into the ads. I explain the ads, what works, and you got to be able to talk to somebody directly. And furthermore, that person's got to be business minded. They got to understand how business works and how to use business strategy and weaving that in with the ad strategy. If the person, because usually the account manager doesn't know jack shit about business. All they know is like what's a conversion, what's not, and that conversion without context of a good quality conversion versus a bad one, they're not going to be able to help you effectively. So you don't talk to the person doing the work, which adds a huge, huge hindrance on the results you can get as a result of that. The people doing the work itself suck. And like I said before, they can't learn new niches because you're not dealing with very bright people. So you're dealing, and furthermore, the person doing the work probably has like 2 years of experience. 2 years of experience might be okay for the juniors, but the person doing the strategy has 2 years of experience. And they have one person doing the strategy with 2 years of experience and doing the work, which makes it less efficient. Instead of having a tiered system, the best is going to be somebody with 15 years of ad experience, driving the strategy, working with a bunch of assistants that maybe have a couple years of experience, but aren't making decisions. They're just executing. That's what you really want. And almost no agency is set up that way, besides ours, and because that's what makes sense, and that's what works in other industries, so to say. They don't have the person with 2 years of experience doing the new kitchen for you. It's a guy with 15 driving the guy with 2. The 2 knows just enough about their job to get what they need to do done, and this is how the rest of the world works. Third reason why PPC agencies are usually 90% scams is because they're playing a game of telephone. I already mentioned that. Whatever you say goes through somebody that then goes on to the end person doing the strategy. If you remember the game of telephone when you were a kid, if you sat in a circle and said to somebody in their ear something, by the time it got around to the circle, the message was totally fucked up. And you can't get proper results that way. Also with PPC agencies, it's expensive for what, ultimately, it's too expensive for what you're getting. Because they have somebody with a couple of years of experience actually doing the strategy, it's not enough to actually know how to beat your competition effectively. And because they're doing the work and the strategy both, and they're getting, you're not getting very many hours as a result of that, and it takes a lot of hours to get the results. And so they're not set up very efficiently. Whereas, like I said, to get an efficient setup would be one guy at the top with 15 years of experience, knows what he's doing. That goes to middle managers, which goes to juniors doing the work. And it's set up, and the campaigns you're building are set up like an assembly line. There's people who do just the grunt work. There's people who just manage their little aspect of what you're doing, whether that be like a designer who's making that landing page, or somebody who's actually building the campaign itself. And then there's the person at the top who oversees it all. He comes up with the strategy like I do. He puts it out to the middle managers. They build it. It comes back to the strategist. Strategist reviews all of it, okays it, and then only then does it go live. So you get it's basically like as if the strategists themselves with 15 years of experience did it all themselves, but did it. And so that you have high levels of efficiency with that model. No agencies are basically set up like that. And if you can find one, that's what you want. Finally, the reason why other PPC agencies aren't very good and suck, 90% of them suck, is account managers are usually not permanent. And this is another big issue. If you do talk to so you're playing a game of telephone, you're telling the account manager, who doesn't frankly know anything about PPC for the most part, or very little, and then they're telling the ad strategist what the client said, and then the ad strategist has to figure out what to do. The account manager that you're telling this all to, you're building up a rapport with them, they're learning your business, or what little they can learn, being somebody that's not a super high IQ person to begin with, we'll just say, and having limited knowledge about PPC. They're more so about managing people and just managing relationships. Whatever you tell them is probably going to disappear in a year. Why? Because there's a high level of dissatisfaction in the field of being an account manager at a PPC agency. Why? Because the results they provide are shit, so your anger is all directed at this person. This person's getting paid 50 grand a year. It's not enough to put up with people's bullshit. So then they quit, and you get a new person. You got to teach that account manager all over again everything that you need for your campaigns to run. And then a year later, you get another one, and another one, and another one. So wouldn't it just make more sense to hire the person that's paid enough to stick the dam around, and then you don't have to do this over and over and over and over again? Effectively, for me to get the great results for our clients that we do, it's predicated on year after year after year of compounded knowledge about that customer, about that market, and understanding exactly what customers in that particular market want to hear, and getting feedback from that client on an ongoing basis at least once a month to build up my knowledge in that space. So I take all my PPC experience, add it to that industry experience I pick up over time, and therefore the effectiveness of myself in that market just keeps getting better and better and better. And I'm not going anywhere. If you deal with me today, you're dealing with me 10 years from now. And I'm not passing you off to another account manager at some point. So I'm not going anywhere. So again, I'm not trying to really pitch you on our services. You can hire us, that's great. You can hire somebody else. I'm just telling you, like the title of the video says here, here's how not to get your ass handed to you. If you want to have the best chance possible of doing that, if you don't hire us, you ask them questions about how they're set up. And if they're set up the way that I said they're set up, just know there's high level of inefficiencies there, and you're only going to get so much results with it. If you want to summarize it, you can't pay $400 a month. I don't care if you only have $4,000 worth of ads a month, and you don't think there's no way in hell you're paying $4,000 a month to manage $4,000 in ad spend. Because guess what? That $4,000 in ad spend, if you hire someone for $400 a month, you might as well just piss on it or burn it, because you're going to have more fun with that $4,000 burning it than you are going to have someone for $400 a month managing it. When you're at a small ad spend, you just got to realize there's not going to be much ROI there, but you're going to do it so that you can eventually scale, and then that $4,000 a month you're paying is it, you're justifying it. But even then, even if you didn't raise your ad spend, the results you're going to get with the $400 a month guy is going to be nothing. So you got to get over your prejudices about how much somebody could get paid and what they're worth, because at the end of the day, the person who can bring in sales to your company is more important than anybody, including the CEO. People who figure that out are humble enough to recognize it will find the people that really can get results, that charge for what they're worth and what the market demands for somebody who can make it rain, and you're going to find somebody that actually can get results at the end of the day. Then that person has to have a team behind them. It's not just them. And you're dealing with the person who's doing the strategy itself directly. If you can find that in one company, now you could at least find the 10% that you want that actually can get good results. And then without having to play this game where you're hiring another, because you don't have time for that, and it's obviously you're going to waste a ton of money doing that. So at least it gives you some basic guidelines of what to do to find an agency that actually gets results and not in business to just take your money, use it to find more clients, of which you're going to scam them, and then take that money, and it's basically a Ponzi scheme. So anyway, hope you liked this video. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a like on the way out, and consider subscribing, as this channel is just full of strategy that you can use to make money with your ads. Given all I do all day long is ad strategy, and I manage dozens of ad accounts on an ongoing basis to give you the content on this channel about what's working and what we use to guarantee results for our clients that are ad firm. I also tell you what's not working, similar to like I did on this video. So you know what to stay away from. And if you're going to pay attention to any content on YouTube about how to make money with ads, this is the most relevant, best information I guarantee you're going to find, because it's coming straight from the source. Not a YouTuber that's full-time YouTube, not running an ad agency like I am, and actually doing the strategy within the agency, which is the important part, or most important part, and not a course seller or whatever. So you should subscribe. Furthermore, if you like my work here, you'll also like my written work over at guaranteedppc.com/blog. You can find my personal blog with even better information and strategies on it to make money with ads, as well as you can follow my column at entrepreneur.com. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. You can ask any ad-related question you'd like. I'm more than happy to put you on the right track with what you're doing totally for free here, just as a way of giving back and saying thank you for watching my channel and helping the channel grow. If you are looking for an ad manager, which is obviously the entire point of this video, like I said, this is exactly what I do for clients here, and we guarantee results for your campaigns. Yes, we're not the cheapest, but it's the best agency you're going to be able to basically find, and we don't charge you fees up front until you get a certain minimum results on your campaigns. More sales or more leads on the same ad spend you have now, or some variation of that. We'll put our money where our mouth is. The only catch is we don't work with just anybody, because you got to have something we know we can get good results on in order to obviously take the work on, because we don't get paid if you don't get results. But if you want to see if we can work together like that and get some estimates of how much results you could get with us, be happy to provide that. And you just simply have to reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com, and I'll be happy to speak with you about the opportunity of potentially working together. As a side, if you aren't looking to work with an agency, technically, I gave you 5 options to getting your results with your PPC, assuming you're tasked with this decision, how to get ads to work and scale for your business. There's technically a 6th option, which is to use a working ad template that's worked in your industry before. And if we've worked in your industry before, which we've worked in over 100 niches now, you can just simply take the ad templates and campaign templates and landing page templates that work for your industry that we used before in it, and just copy and paste everything we did in your industry into your ad account, and get the same results we got for another client in another geographic market or different country for yourself with none of the work, essentially. And we sell those for a one-time fee, of which we can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front. And without even hiring us to build you everything up from scratch, you got turnkey results in your industry. So at the very least, you should see if we've worked in your industry, because the time and money it's going to take to figure out what we spent years to figure out, it's all on a whole different planet in terms of what it's going to cost to figure out the same thing we did, and compared to what we charge for those templates. So anyway, if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at our advertising agency at guaranteedppc.com. You can also start another business using these templates. I've got several people that have done that now. You know, they were doing like home services. They wanted to get into e-commerce. They started an e-commerce business with one of the templates that we have on hand that just get turnkey results, or vice versa. They're e-commerce. They started a lead generation business with a funnel that works for a certain niche, and you did that. And, you know, that shows how much these templates do work and how turnkey they are. But anyway, if you're interested in starting a business, starting from a working campaign funnel that's effective is like starting a business out on training wheels and making it like almost sure you're going to be successful. So anyway, if you're interested in that, we can also tell you what we have as far as those templates, funnels, and all that, what industries, what results. You can also reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com to ask about that as well. But I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later.